There is no individual that has power more than government. If government want to do the right thing, they know what to do.
I think the government should listen more to the people, get to the grassroots, relate with the community, the affected communities, and try to get their views, because it is only this community, the affected persons, that will tell you how they feel it, because there's this saying that he who wears the shoe knows where it pitches him or her. So the government should be able to relate with the community, get to them, and know how they feel about it.
The whole system is wrong. Talking about our leader, what we are expressing today or experiencing today is coming from the leaders. We don't have a leader yet. Talking about the herdsmen today, I expect the president of this country to do the same thing that he did with IPOP. Because when IPOP issue came up, he acted. He showed them that indeed he is there in the seats. But when this one come up, the whole thing was as if the thing is one-sided.
In Borno State, when the Boko Haram came that time, they take over most of the local government now. But today, the issue of Boko Haram has reduced to minimum rate in Borno State. So if the federal government can do that, then it's in the hands of the federal government. They will do it in Benue State. They should deploy the army to go and take care of those places. That is the only thing.
For such a disaster of such a magnitude to happen without a word from the presidency beats the imagination. That does not mean the president is not acting on the matter, but Nigerians want to see him speaking on this issue. Ordinarily coming out to say we condemn the issue is something, and it will go a long way. For the president to just come out and say, oh, we condemn this issue, that simple sentence, that simple statement will douse a lot of tension among Nigerians. But for him to remain silent and quiet on this issue is not acceptable at all to Nigerians. 2 colonies may be a welcome development, but you should take note of the fact that these people will be interacting with the people, and you expectedly there will be crises and communal clashes. So the basic thing is to foster unity among Nigerians first.
Kind of a thing. If you look the aspect of the farmers, you will also look the aspect of the cattle riders. That's rearers, I mean to say.
Less population in this country. But if with the increase of population today in Nigeria, it means that for us to go to modern farming of cattle rearing, whereby range we provided for other people. But if we want to still go back to colonial days, we are in advanced days, for God's sake. Nigeria has grown up, the world has modernized, but whereby we refuse to make things good for ourselves, that allowing that everywhere is good for cattle rearing, then there will be problem because we have increased in population. If we all believe that we are one in Nigeria, it means that what? Everybody will come and put our hands together. How can Nigeria be dying like fowl? How can we be dying like chickens in this country, for God's sake? If there's no love, we claim that we have religion. Everybody, whether you are a Christian, you must love your brother. If you're a Muslim, you must love your brother. If that love, we have forget about love. If there's that love, it means that what? We love each other and no one will kill each other.
Imagine what happened in Benue State. Up till now, our president is not doing anything about it. We want to see him, in fact, we want to see him cry, show emotion, that he's human being like us.
All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, Shedrach Madilion, the GMD at Safari 54, is joining me right now. We're looking at solutions to these cattle herders and the farmers in Nigeria. That is, you know, the security challenge we're having right now. Being a farmer right now in Nigeria, you are at risk. You are vulnerable. Mr. Madilion is joining me right now. Welcome to the show and thanks for joining us. Happy New Year to you. We haven't seen. The last time we saw was in 2017, just a few weeks ago. So
That's
welcome
true.
to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
You know, like I said during the program, that the discussion around herders, farmers, and all of that, and I told my team that I want to approach it from a different angle in the sense that let's have a lot of information. Are you listening to me?
Yes, of course.
A lot of information and intellectual information. I don't want to be embroiled in the noise, as it were. Noise in the sense that whatever I'm saying this morning or what will come out of the space this morning should add into the conversation intellectually. So we have to do our research in terms of cattle colonies, where are they found? How many cows do we have in Nigeria? What is the maximum capacity? What can we, what issues should we be looking at? And the business of cattle rearing itself, even improving the development index of those people, the nomads, as it were, must they continue to be nomads? If we say Fulanis are cattle rearers, they go from the north to the south, shouldn't it be also our responsibility, or shouldn't it be government responsibility to make the Fulanis or the nomads' lives better? Must they continue to rear cows like that? You know, so that is the kind of conversation I want to have this morning. Tell me what your view is vis-a-vis. I know you've seen what we read out earlier, a lot of pages.
First of all, I want to, my heart goes out to the 73 families that have lost their loved ones in Benue State, in Taraba and in Adamawa. Human life is irreplaceable. My heart bleeds to the state that provide 27% of the fresh mangoes and oranges we consume in Nigeria, which their life has been taken. My heart equally bleeds to one of the biggest producers of grains and tubers, which is Afuru, Logu, and Wanune. The entire whole country is under siege. You will not know what debt is, because once debt is discussed and is not your relative, you think we are discussing firewood.
Yes, or it's from a far place.
But looking at this from the business perspective, between 31st of December and 1st of January, Nigeria lost 175 of its citizens. In monetary value, we lost 42,000 metric tons of yam seedlings. In Taraba, in Benue, we lost over 200 or 300 of cattle within those areas, which some of them were slaughtered and with various forms of clashes. None of these circumstances is worth the life of any farmer or any herdsman. But if we need to come back to tell ourselves the truth, is that we have an institutional failure. Why did I say institutional failure? There are two very important departments in Federal Ministry of Agriculture: the Department for Livestock and Animal Husbandry, arable farming, food security, and the rest. Every year we have budget from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, specifically on livestock. These livestock departments are supposed to provide information and incentive and change the perception and the programs for livestock to make it much easier. The grazing reserve we have was established before our independence and gazetted. Now, out of the 423 or 428, it has shrinked to 132. We had 386 water tributaries that are attached to these grazing reserves. Now, as I speak with you, we had only functional 92 water tributaries. The Benue State, the River Benue and River Niger has not been desealed. So those areas that are already been silted stops the tributaries to those ponds. A cow, an average cow, a horse, a donkey, a camel, can stay for 21 days without adequate food, but cannot spend a day without water. So the crisis we have in our hands is as a result of effect of lack of water, scarcity of resources, which of course has escalated to this.
So would you say it's also climatic conditions?
Yes, of course. Then we have Federal Ministry of Environment. I'm trying to control my emotions as I talk here. We have Federal Ministry of Environment that will drop their budget. Today, with your phone, you can tell the weather in Suriname, off the coast of Netherlands, from your telephone. You can tell the weather and know the environment of what is happening Kumasi, or in Aflao, from your telephones. But how come we do not have the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Federal Ministry of Environment coming together to look at the fact that it is no longer convenient for farmers or the herdsmen to use telephone, listen to radio, but yet he has to trek from Gashua to Umahia, or he has to trek from Sokoto to Enugu, Emene, or Ekebnago, in view of looking for where to sell his cattle or also graze them, looking for greener pasture. At 21st century, that will not work. Then the things that are attached to those your gazetted area has been overtaken by human existence. People are now living in those areas. The water are no longer available. Our populations are growing. As at the time the grazing reserves were established, we are less than 12 states in Nigeria. Then we now, lives has lost, yet we are playing with semantics. Somebody is coming to talk about colony. There is nowhere, anywhere in the world. Take it from California, Stockton, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Brazil, where they have anything called colony. But first of all, can we describe Nigerian cow? We'll have the white Fulani, we'll have the Boloro, we'll have the Sokoto Gudali, yeah, and all that here. And the Mutul, the South African cow, which is the Mutul, which you see within Ogoja, Yala, Obudu, and the rest here. These are dwarf cows, highly very resistant to sandflies and the rest here. Our cows are the most ugliest looking cows in the world. The only good thing about our cows is that it has a very strong leather. Our leather can stay for 17 years because from the day the cow is born, he's been trekking all his life. The cow treks all the way from Gashua or from Megateria or from Miadoa and finds his way down to the south. Lagos State is the biggest consumption point of livestock here, consuming about 211 trucks of cows every week. An average cow truck is 35 cows if it is Boloro. If it is white Fulani, it takes 30. It takes 30. If it is Sokoto Gudali, that's about 35 too, and all that there. Our tannery industries, the value chain in cows is beyond just meat. You get buttons, you get leathers. When a full cow is slaughtered, you have the capacity to get out 54 school sandals from a cow, the cow skin. I'm just talking about school sandals for our children here. But in this country, we eat them on the name called Pomo. We have any legislator. There is no program to say, okay, these are national policies on livestock. Coming to it here, 72 people were buried in Nigeria. One will ask whether if we're at war. On average, the life of one Nigerian is so important. Now, but what is the body languages of those who we call our leaders? 72 people were being buried in Benue State over this. The Honorable Minister for Agriculture was commissioning an egg center in Ondo State. It shows that, it just goes, we lost it. We have no value attachment to human lives in Nigeria anymore. Now, we are thinking about next election, but not the next generation. And this is where I am so concerned. Today, we look at the ratio is 285 Nigerians to one cow. The cows we consume in Nigerians are not our cows. Because there is nowhere in Africa where 15 billion naira worth of food is consumed every day, apart from Lagos. Followed by Port Harcourt. Next is Ibadan, and then the fourth is Kano. We are the most populated country in Africa. Therefore, food intake is high here. But are there our foods? No. Let me even leave the cattle we're talking about. What of the common grains? Is 11.5 million metric tons of rice consumed in the whole of Africa. Nigeria alone is consuming 7.8 million metric tons of rice. Local production is 2 million metric tons. By this year, it declined by 1.5 by 1.1. But to the at the table of what is being known, we're being told that the rice production has gone up. Now, how will it go up? How will it go up when we have 42% of farmers who did not participate in this year's agricultural activities as a result of insecurity? Inevitably, this country is under siege. That by the time the rain commences, we'll find out that we have no seedlings to put back in our farm. We will need to find only how we can get a psychologist that will be able to convince farmers who have lost their loved ones to go back to a farm. If you're a widow or you don't have your wife anymore, is being killed in your farm, there is no any form of psychology that you can go down and have your head bent to do any form of work in the place there. The memory will always recall. This I can tell. But today, realities is dawning on us. Reality is dawning on us. It's no longer the hula balua bumper harvest. Farmers are the ones, the number of farmers were those who went to Hajj. The Anchor Brewers program works. Any man who does things the same old way and expects a new result, something must be wrong with the person. That is the high level of insanity.
Now, what solutions are you proffering? There are no places in the world where there are cattle colonies. We've established that. But what also came to my mind, I actually asked myself, if there are no places in the world, perhaps Aldo Ogbe, who is the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, is trying to profile something new, as it were. What are the solutions right now? Because in some other developing economies, even, you know, we don't see cattle go around the way they go around in Nigeria. I do know that even pastoralists, some of the character of pastoralists here in Nigeria, we also have them in some other parts of Africa, like Kenya, for example, even Tanzania, for example. There are some people that use the AK-47, I think in Tanzania, yeah, in the AK-47 to guard their cows. Very, you know?
Nancy,
what are the solutions?
Nancy, I think the first African countries that the president paid a visit was Kenya. Kenya is the center of the highest value chain center for milk in the world, which in Swahili is called Ihiri. And he went there with the Honorable Minister for Agric. One was to understudy how wild as the Messiahs able to live in peace. Now, one of the major crises today, even in Rwanda, what has to do with this. But ours has a different dimension altogether, in the sense that we have over 375 borders across this country, unmanned, ungoverned spaces in Nigeria, that we cannot in any way tell this is where they are coming here. The biggest market in Africa for food consumption is here. The scarcity to support the market is not available. But you ask, what is the solution? The very moment you have a challenge and you are not looking at business opportunities in need, then of course you're not worthy of living. There is business opportunities for us in this place here. Over 5 billion has been spent on Empower. The biggest employer of labor is agriculture, next to mining. Just establishment of private and government-owned ranches, bringing in crush will promote vet doctors, increase our milk qualities.
Yeah.
The beef content of our cows will increase.
Improve, yeah.
Now, I want to say it here, and I stand to be correct. I mean, I stand by any institution. 47% or 42% of the cows we eat in the market are diseased. In anywhere in the world, you are supposed to provide the medical history of any livestock that you need to slaughter or cull, if we need to use the word. But here in Nigeria, antibiotics are injected into the livestock, and it's been the only thing that is serving Nigeria where we are is that we give thanks to firewood. If it is not the heat which we use in cooking our meat here, only God knows the kind of diseases we have. We've got more cancer patients than we've had before in the 70s and 60s. Now, halal are not being respected. What is halal? Halal is the art of slaughtering animals and hanging it for 8 hours. Islamically, it's there.
Yeah.
Biblically, it is there. You cannot eat a cow today and consume it today, because you need average of 8 to 12 hours to get it the blood drained out here. But our livestock are slaughtered and carried in a Vespa. The man will put his legs here, he litters the blood, he goes to the place where by the time he gets to the table, one hand has a fly, one other hand has a butcher and all that there. Who satisfies this animal? Nobody. Yet we have is complete institutional failure to Nigerians over this here. And then you ask yourself, now why do we have these people? And in a country where there is no R&P, reward and punishment, we go nowhere. If we're not driven by knowledge, I came in here, I've been trying to hold my emotions. I've been trying to find ways that, I mean, when you lose it, it looks as if you're losing it here. But am I a proud Nigerian? I'll tell you no. Let me bring this to maybe people who don't know here. Between the month of January 2016 and 2017, 3,836 Nigerians left the shores of this country to Canada. Professionals, not people they picked from the street here. The very moment you can prove that you're a professional, the very moment our doctors, 72 doctors resigned from UCH, Ibadan. They're all in Saudi Arabia and they're in Canada. And what is going to happen to our own? Between December and between December 31st and 1st of January, 2,010 children were given birth in this country, recorded from the hospital. What of those that were born in Ivo or Oboka that do not know, that there was no any records on them here? Those statistics were not there by UNICEF. What are we talking about? We'll have an increment. By next week, my president will be going to Addis Ababa for AU meeting to discuss what? When we're under siege, when we've got more refugees in Nigeria than in South Sudan, are we at war? If we're at war, then let us know. We've got 12 million children out of school. Our economy is dependent on one product. The fuel lines are back. By the month of April, June, the price of food, only God knows how it's going to get to. That's when the result will come to us. You don't lie you don't play politics with your food security. People can't move, yet they can't be in the farm. They cannot be in the farm, they cannot take out what they have cultivated. They cannot take out what they have cultivated. The resources for them to meet the essence of governance is the protection of life and property. If there's any other definition of governance, please, can somebody let me know? Our generation that we have, especially my generation here, there is no hope. Nothing is left for us. I took honor to come to this place. In my farm, I've got civil defense that is in the farm. You have to pay them. It's not done by free.
For the protection
of
yes,
yeah. We've got point of lay that we are doing for farmers. We're highly indebted. We cannot pay our debt. Debt on maize, debt on workers, owing workers in the place. The business of agriculture, you are there. Some of your workers will leave you with their salary and they will find their way out because by the side they are hearing what has happened in the nearby farms around here. I have farmers, I have my staff who left for Christmas, never came back. Yet the interest rate, the money you took from the bank did not plus the interest rate. The interest is running. My bank was calling me yesterday as if I lost one of my legs. They were on the phone. It's like 7 people were giving telephone to make sure they are calling me, just to return their money to them. How will I return the money? Where is the activities? Women need to come to the farm to buy eggs. And because they buy eggs, they see the size of the birds you have, they leave you money for next week. So you use their money to get wheat offer, you use their money to get the vaccinations and all that soya, put them together. We meal the fuel that this chicken takes here. But today, no, you have to bring it to town. Bringing it to town, where is the fuel? So it's completely collapsed. I had passion in what I'm doing, but I tell you today, people want to tell people say, don't go there. There has to be life first before. And I tell somebody, when is life? Death is death. All die and die. When you want to die, you die. No matter how you die. Here, those people who died in Taraba or in Michika here, I'm not better than them. Babies, pregnant women. South Africa today won the African Cup of Nations. It wasn't because Mandela was the best dancer in the world, but they saw their president, the body languages of their president, assume happiness. What stops our head of state taking his helicopter to even carry a baby or touch the woman who lost his baby in Makurdi?
Give her a pat on the back.
That would have healed the wound. But we have our elders in Benue with white and black cap. I've not seen where a bereaved goes to see the person who wants to mourn him. It's you that is bereaved who will stay. Somebody who should come to you. That is the African tradition. For the 54 countries that makes up Africa, if somebody is bereaved, we go to the person, not the person coming into us here.
Yes.
Our food point, there is something going on. All our food centers in Nigeria are being blown. Borno has no peace. Benue has no peace. Borno today, I said it here and I'm saying it again, for the past 9 years there is no tatashi coming in from Borno. Because the areas for tatashi and onions and all that here are gone. Our grain reserve here is empty. 186 strategic grain reserve we have in this area. There is no single grain inside any of our silos. And what everybody is now thinking about is in the market, when hunger comes, there is no APC, there is no PDP. I've not seen any yam, I've not seen any cow, I've not seen any goat that has these symbols in their body. Whether you are poor, whether you are rich, something brings us together, and that is market. Your tummy do not need to alert you when there is hunger. And this is what we are facing. Our population is increasing. There is nobody that is injecting any form of technology. There is what they call satellite data imagery system. A distinguished senator from Potiskum will tell you that over 1.4 million cows came into Nguru, Potiskum, because they came here for market. They took over the entire whole town. In Yobe, before New Year, he was struggling to get them vaccinated because they are the biggest spreaders of disease. They bring us certain diseases that we're not used to here. The Institute for National Tropic and the Tumesiasis that is in Kaduna has been on strike for the past 3 months. The livestock, the veterinary research institute here has been on strike. Yet we budget a lot of money on livestock. It has a director in it here. Where is the money? Now we set solutions. There's what is called agricultural support centers. Ranches here is a lot of money. If you are doing ranching, it's big business. It's not a business for newcomers in agriculture. It's only in Nigeria that we sell on dead weight. Everywhere in the world, livestock are sold in live weight. That is the pride of a farmer. You bring your cow, you put them in the crush, they wait. The country, that's why we have the commodity exchange centers. Yes. That is their work. For the man that is doing grains, you give him voucher. You keep him with, because there is a price peg. Agriculture
that is expected.
That's expected. Yeah. So you would have done, you give him his voucher. So if today, I should have considered myself as a rich man if I can bring in beans and give you and tell you, give me a voucher. That is, the voucher you give to me is as good as money. Livestock are not sold in dead weight in Nigeria. It is not, proper pricing is what brings it attraction here. But don't forget that the government we have today made a lot of noise concerning diversifying our economy. With this, security is everything anywhere in the world, Nancy. Without security, nothing. Okay. We brought in Cubans that came here to do sugar and cane for us here. They were told not to come to Nigeria. We insisted, we convinced them to come because we have one of the best sugar and cane between Makerfi and Kura and then Eleman in Jigawa State. So they saw the stock we have, grown on organic stuff so that we can move molasses from here. They came in, while they came in here, they now heard that the 2 Americans and a Canadian were kidnapped. They closed their papers, asked me for the nearest way out of Kaduna. They've lost. the transport of me inviting them, the resources I've borrowed to bring them to, just to see whether if I can create another new window. That small window has been shut.
Okay, now let's take a few comments because we're rounding up now. Eke Sebastian says the present government is unresponsive to the plight of people and it's inimical to development and democracy. While Chidi says, in this coming 2019 general election, whosoever should vote wisely. Enough is enough. Okay, let me take Moneyline AIT. You can actually send us a tweet. Mokbalaon says, I was at Obudu Cattle Ranch recently. The type of cows I saw on that adventure were out of this world. Fresh, fleshy, robust. Same thing applies to Mambila Mountain. The best way to address this incessant attack between herdsmen and farmers is going by the way of our ranches. Dele Jackson says, let's use this vista to sympathize with the good people of Benue, Taraba, Kaduna State, who recently experienced incessant killings in their domain. As we pray for the repose of the souls of the victims, may the good Lord grant succor to the bereaved. Amen. Peace to Nigeria. Just in some seconds, what's your last word? I know in this edition we can't finish it, but like I started this today, like I said,